Yeah, Ancient Mahara here. It is going to be another comment response. Might have a couple more of those coming, but really busy week. But I hope soon to get some more other kind of perspectives and subject areas on the things that I do on this channel. Well, I guess I'm doing that with comments. But anyway, so here we go. So there was a comment on a video that I did, borderline discard, on to next person, and then not your fault, right? Because it's not your fault. And somebody replied to that and said, the point is no one is good enough for the borderline. That's because they can't lose someone important. So they'll do everything in their power to diminish your importance. That's the whole point, says the commenter. Well, no, it's not the whole point. And it isn't that you aren't going to be good enough for them, right? It's important to frame this accurately for people, because a lot of people with codependency do feel like, I messed it up. It was my fault. I did this. I said that. I should have done this and not said that, or whatever the case may be. And so people end up feeling like they maybe weren't good enough. And a lot of people with codependency might feel or might not be consciously aware that maybe more so in relationships than in the rest of your life, you might end up feeling not good enough in a general way, or feeling sort of like that. So I think it's really important that we watch our words here. But I mean, the reality is that no one is, quote, good enough for the borderline, in the sense that you cannot satiate their needs, right? And the longer the relationship goes, the more you're trying to satiate their needs almost entirely, more time than not. So that gets exhausting, and you just can't meet the needs that they're expecting of you, demanding of you, requiring of you, because they are the unmet needs of the arrested self. So the unmet needs of a young child emotionally, going back to that emotional arrest in early childhood, before by the age of 2. So again, like I've said in other videos, you end up being experienced by them, not literally seen, right? But as the object of their parent representation. Either a good parent never had, or a wounding parent. And so with that, they are literally trying to seek identity through you. They are trying to get needs met that weren't met. Unconsciously, they're doing this. Trying to get needs met that weren't met when they were like really young. And so there's that. And then there's the fact that they also, with the abandonment, fear, and other issues in borderline personality, they just don't believe, they don't have a self from which to love you or trust you or attach to you. So their trust is really low, right? And what happens is then they get into this way of thinking, and they're not often consciously aware of why. Well, if you don't do this right now for me, whatever it is, you don't really love me. Or you said you were going to call at 5 o'clock and you didn't call till 5:03, so you don't really care. You don't really love me. And this kind of, this cognitive, distorted, from the past, whatever happened, they bring to the here and now is not, objective reality. And so what they often require, or so like somebody with BPD might say to you, well, you worked late 3 nights already this week. Like, I need you here. They might give you a reason, they might not. But the point is, so they're saying, and if you don't come home now from work, or if you don't make sure next 2 days or wherever they say that you're home on time and you don't work late, just like there's no way I'm gonna believe you love me anymore. Like, if you love me, you'll do that for me. So they put it in this way that, like, and I'm giving you like maybe more extreme and less complicated examples, but this is why you can't be, quote, good enough for the borderline. It's not you. It's that they can never get enough from you. They can't be satiated. They can't have all these needs because they have a ton of unmet needs. that, tie in often with fear of abandonment or fear of engulfment and the push-pull. But generally speaking, they just need what they need and they want it now, like young toddlers. And that's not really okay. That exhausts people. So it's not really that you're not really not good enough for them. It's that they don't really see you and hear you and don't experience you for who you really are. And they don't know the difference between self and others, so they're not really thinking about what you need or why you need to be at work later sometimes or longer, because they'll just feel like you're abandoning them and you're avoiding them because you really don't love them. That's their thing. That's their perception. And so this person says that, it's all about, good enough. That's not true. And then says that's because they can't lose someone important, so they'll do everything in their power to diminish your importance. Can't lose someone important. I don't think that that's what people with BPD perceive or think. And when they diminish your importance, that's the devaluation. And then they might, in a really defensive way, say to you, well, you were no good at this, or you never did this right, or you didn't do anything right anyways, and I never loved you, and blah, 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 blah. To diminish you, absolutely, in very painful, punishing ways, because it doesn't matter really why, because there's no excuse for it, but they are going into their own, need to reject you or abandon you before you abandon them often. The ones that ghost discard, sometimes they don't say anything, they just go. And some people find out later what that was about or get, hoovered. Some people don't. And it's a lot to work out. And so they will diminish your importance, but it's not because they can't lose somebody important. Because the sad truth of these relationships, especially with untreated people with BPD, you seem like you have great importance to them, but you, for who you are, you really don't have great importance to them. And that's another reason why they monkey branch, not all, but many, monkey branch, or they just ghost and discard you, and they're on to the next person so quickly, because really, with few exceptions, and especially untreated, people with BPD aren't seeing you. You're not really being valued. You're not really seen as important as you're not seen as being as important as you maybe felt you were in the idealization phase, because you're not even really that important in that phase either, which I'm still going to be talking about that coming up soon. More on that. And so this person thinks that's the whole point. That's the whole point. They can't stand to lose somebody who's important, so they'll do everything in their power to diminish your importance. And that's the whole point, because you can't be good enough for a person with BPD. It's like, does that sound a tad oversimplified for you or to you? Because it's much more than that. It's not the point at the borderline consciously, knowingly, gets into a relationship with you because they know at some point, that they do fear abandonment, but they're not thinking about that all the time, in the sense that they're going to lose somebody important, so then they have to diminish your importance. But in devaluation, they do diminish your importance. But that's not the whole point. It's only but a part and a piece of an incredible cycle that happens with people with BPD from within them, projected out onto you, etc., that a lot of people with codependency feel guilty about, or like it was your fault, or how are you going to exhaust yourself some more the rest of this day or tomorrow when meeting all their needs so they won't, have an episode. It's just not possible. You can't satiate all the needs that they're trying to meet through you, and not only not as you, but you as object of their parent representation. So this commenter was partially correct and otherwise incorrect to say, as if it's just some, presupposed conscious known thing that, they're going to diminish you because they can't lose someone important. When in actual fact, when they lose you if you break up with them, or when they lose you because they leave you, discard or ghost you, they're actually doing that to the object other parent representation too, not even to you, the person that it hurts so very much, incredibly, horribly, awfully. And so it's not just what the commenter said, and that's the point. No, more to the point, the whole point with the impossibility of these relationships with people with untreated BPD especially, but like till less pretty much recovered, not really possible. The whole point of that is a myriad of moving pieces and parts of what happened in their childhoods with each individual. And it's all about approach avoidance conflict, and it's all about projection, and they've interjected a bad object, and then they can projective identify through projective identification. You can become the persecutory object, which is again an object relation parent object other parent object other parent representation, not relationship. So the whole thing that is the point is there isn't just one frickin' point, right? It's not that simple. It's way more complicated. And I'm going to have a lot more coming on this channel to explain this in a way that you might not have heard. I don't know what everybody else is saying out there. But I've seen a lot of crazy information out there, but there's some other good information, whatever. But I know that what I'm going to bring to this channel soon about idealization, I already did something in a podcast once. It's on this channel too. It'll probably blow your mind, but my hope is it will help you to realize that if you're wanting them back still, you are wanting somebody that wasn't who you thought they were, isn't who you thought they were, is never going to be who you thought they were. You're never going to get back those good feelings. Those good feelings are causing you agony and pain and suffering now. So, it's not that you're not good enough for the borderline. Oh, no, 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 no. You don't stand a chance to be able to rescue, fix, appease, make right, keep them happy when they're not happy anyway, really. What happened to them in childhood? Because that's what they really are, expecting unconsciously and wanting from you. Nobody can live up to that because you want a partner, and that means that you deserve to be seen and heard as well. It should be mutual and reciprocal, not all one way, and not you on these massive eggshells of like, but if I don't jump to this, jump to that, and I gotta be home on time, and then like, hey, they're gonna have episodes, and you're gonna be in that place that you kind of don't get out of for them until they release you from that devaluation place, even if it's not the end of the relationship. So the idea that you're not good enough for the borderline, no, please don't even waste time thinking that. It's everything they need. It's all about them, and not in that classic narcissistic way. Like narcissists, it's all about them. But it's all about them because they don't have a self inside, and they're trying to find it through you. You can't give yourself away. I mean, you can abandon yourself, but you can't literally put yourself into one of these people. Like, how would that work, right? So, no. The point, as the commenter said, and no, it's much more complicated than that. Take care.